weed.
Storm music. This is Beat Storm music.
Jesus gave his life for me so that I can live, and I'm out creating crime. To me, that's all I can give. My whole life since I was young, that's how I.
It's not a bad thing. Like, I know bro did that. That's what's dope.
Hi, you all. Welcome back. This here is Shavonda Marie with Love, Strength, and Love. Today we have a special guest, Tone. I'm gonna let y'all or let him kind of introduce himself.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Antonio, aka Mr. Tonedef, founder of TDR Network, the largest podcasting network in the Midwest, located in the underground of the Sherman Phoenix Marketplace. And I'm happy to be here.
All right.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a pleasure actually having you, and I really appreciate the space. It is so amazing. It's so beautiful. Hey, y'all, got a new space.
This is a man cave at its finest, but it's a safe space. So that's cool. It is definitely a vibe here. It's definitely a vibe here. I would never change anything about that.
That's beautiful. All right, you all. Today we are going to be speaking about connections. This was kind of like the perfect conversation for me, seeing that I'm just connecting with you.
Okay.
And I was sitting and just wondering what kind of conversation should we have?
Okay.
So it's about I've been around with the whole panel podcast and coming into the live events, which has been awesome.
Thank you. We try.
Nah, y'all doing it. So it was just me coming in and just getting myself out in a whole networking game. And I was just trying to figure out, how do I actually get myself out here and make new connections? So first we're going to talk about creating connections. Okay. So when it comes to creating connections, it is how can we connect, or how can
you go ahead?
How can you connect with others on a personal and a professional level?
Oh, okay. Honestly, it starts with just regular conversations.
Okay.
A lot of times we as human beings are scared to open up and be vulnerable in particular conversations. But once you tend to find something of commonality that you can speak on, it's more so than just trying to cultivate a conversation from that.
Right.
Let's use the panel for an example. We are 9 different individuals with 9 different walks of life.
Right.
But at the current moment in time, we're all connected in regards to our love for conversation.
Okay.
And because of our love for conversation, we tend to put a little bit of ourselves in every single conversation we have. So no matter what the topic is, what the event is, what the nonprofit that we're supporting, whatever we got going on, it's a little bit of us in everything we do. And because of that, it makes us open up and show a little bit more of us, that now we have a bond that's unmatched. We literally hang out with each other, kick it with each other, we confide in each other. So it went from just like 9 people who sat down and said, oh, okay, let's just talk about these topics, to what are you doing? What's going on? What's the plan for this month? What do you got going? And it's like, literally, we had to create a calendar to keep up with all the things that we got going on, but it's dope because of that.
Right.
Like, we going to support somebody today. So constant.
So just stepping out and just communicating.
Stepping out and communicating. Don't be shy. You may find people who don't rock with the same thing you rock with, but then you may find some of the weirdest people are things you have in common with. Like, you'd be surprised.
That kind of brings me to my next question, because it says, what kind of strategies can you use to overcome with the shyness or just fear of being rejected when you actually trying to connect with someone new?
Okay. So, fun fact, I'm a very shy person.
Aw.
Fun fact.
Don't seem like it.
Exactly. And that's why that's why I led with that, because this question is perfect for a person like me. You just got to do it sometimes. Like when you learn to accept the fact that rejection is normal,
Right.
it's going to happen. People are going to pull back on something that you said or you did, because you're either stepping into their comfort zone and their boundaries, or
Right.
they're going to step into yours. So you have to understand that people are going to not want what you want, or talk the way you want to, or speak the way you speak. And rejection is not a bad thing. Sometimes it's a
Right.
great time to pivot. Maybe it's a different way you need to approach a situation, or maybe this is just not the person you need that type of connection with. You know what I'm saying? So
I
don't
love
ever
it.
take it the wrong way. And I think that's the problem that we as people take. Like we don't want to be rejected, because to feel rejected gives us that feeling of being unloved. But that's not really what rejection is. It's just like rejection is really like not right here, not this way. Literally. Keep it moving.
Right. Nice. Hey, that's kind of nice because it ties right on in into the next couple questions.
Look, I am not the largest podcasting network in the Midwest for a reason. Let's go.
Okay, so how can you actually identify with people who will be a good fit for you when it comes to networking or just in your personal life?
Truth be told, uh, a lot of times you have to find, like when you're doing it for business wise, right?
Okay.
Connecting with somebody has to have a value to you, but you also have to be honest about what a value you can bring to them.
Right.
Because I can go to a networking event and it can be hundreds of people there, and none of them seem to fit my need. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So first of all, make sure you put yourself in spaces and places where you can benefit from being there.
Right.
Like, don't go to a first time home buyer meeting and you don't plan on ever buying a home. How is that connection working for you?
Right.
But if you go to, let's say, a credit repair seminar, that may work more. It make more sense for you. And then while you're at this credit repair seminar, for an example, not only is the person teaching the class someone you want to connect with and build a bond with, you're in a room full of everybody else who also got credit issues. So now it's kind of like, okay,
take the fear out of it.
Take the fear. Number one, yeah, it does. Because like, look, you here like me. Okay, I don't know if your score is 600 or 6, but we all here for a reason. So there's no reason for me to be nervous to talk to you about whatever issue I go, because you technically have the same issue.
Right.
So putting yourself in the same spaces and places with people who have a commonality as you kind of gives you that leg in for the conversation to begin with, which kind of can lead to connections, because now I got some information that you may not have known about, and now you got something I know about, and this credit repairing could be the start of a beautiful friendship.
Exactly.
You know, now we talking like, hey, I just went up 20 points this week. I just went up 8 points. Hey man, how you going? Like now we talking and we communicating and we talking about things, and next you know it, I know everything about you, and we having Thanksgiving together. Like
we didn't build that connection.
We didn't build that connection because we all at 800s now. So now I might go to a homeowners, meeting and bring you with me. So
right, which brings us to the next portion of actually connections, which is building connections. Okay, so what type of role, or what role does trust play in building a strong connection?
You was at our last podcast, wasn't you?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that was like, this sounds like, okay, I see what you did there. Trust is very important, because as a person like me, I am all about cultivating a safe space. That's literally the phrase I use whenever I start anything. So in order for you to know that this is a safe space, you have to trust that I'm creating this. If I'm saying this is a safe space, you have to trust that when you come into whatever space I've created or cultivated, it's exactly what I said it is.
Okay.
So when building that connection, and whatever the reason why you're connecting with this person or this person is connecting to you, they're immediately trusting that you are doing exactly what you said you're going to do.
Exactly.
So you have to kind of give them some trust to begin with, but you also got to be mindful of adjustments that can occur from it.
Right.
I might say, hey, come into my space is a safe space, and you show up on a Saturday, and that Saturday somebody is in here that you don't feel comfortable around. So now it's not my fault that it's not a safe space,
Right.
but because of this circumstances, it may not feel as safe as long as this individual is there. So now you have to let me know so I can make those adjustments so you can trust that I keep it a safe space for you.
Right.
Okay.
Nice. Which again, the next question. It's just all flowing so nicely.
You talking to me?
I love it.
Okay, I know what I'm
This
doing.
connection is awesome, y'all. I
Okay.
didn't created it, now building it, and we're gonna step into letting go of other connections so we can actually get all the connect, so I can
Okay.
have the connections that I need.
Okay.
Okay, so what are some efficient ways to some effective ways for you to actually deepen an existing relationship or a connection?
Show up.
Okay.
Number one. Don't overpromise. Don't overwhelm. Don't overachieve.
Okay.
Okay. Stay within the realm of what you are capable of being able to do. If I say, hey, I can record your podcast for you, but I can only do it on these days,
Mhm.
and I can only do it these many times of the month, as much as you may want it as much as possible for your needs for your podcast, I have to be realistic with you.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you want it more than just 2 times or you wanted it every day of the week, now we have to be realistic about how that's going to look for you.
Right.
So keeping it honest, keeping it open, not overwhelming myself, because now it's no longer a connection of enjoyability. It's a connection of necessity. Okay. And at the same time, I don't want to break the trust with you, because if I said, yes, we can do it every week on Friday at 7:00, and all of a sudden my other producer have a show at the exact same time. Now you don't trust that I'm going to be honest with what I say.
Right.
You're not going to trust that I'm going to keep my time. And now our connection has an issue in regards to it.
Right.
So as long as I don't overachieve, overpromise, overwhelm myself, and just keep everything honest and consistent, our connection is going to grow, period, because you're going to see that I am invested in whatever we're working on together,
Okay.
just as much as I need you to be invested in it.
Exactly.
Make
That
sense?
Giving, yes,
All right.
give and receive. Hey, I'm all about that.
Nice.
So on to the next question. What
Okay.
are some signs that a connection is worth investing more of your time in, or even your energy?
I know I took a deep sigh on that one.
Okay.
A lot of times is growth.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll use that as for not necessarily just only like work relationships, but even your personal relationships.
Right.
Grow. You have to be able to, like I said, everything has to have a give and take.
Mm-hmm.
You should never be in a connection or a situation where you don't feel like you're getting something out of it, but you also have to feel like what you're getting out of it is worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can bring to the table something I already have,
Right.
okay, your value is not going to be the same as if you're bringing something new to the table.
Exactly.
And vice versa. If I say, okay, you're working with me, I can give you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, but you can do A through F. So the only thing that makes a difference in our connection is G.
Right.
Well, once you figure out that you can get G somewhere else, does it even matter? Like, am I still that value to you?
Right.
But if you find out that G comes with the lead in for H, H comes to I goes to J, and you're growing from our connection, whether it's me physically doing it for you or me putting you in the places and spaces to get the rest of the alphabet, then that has value. So it's growing. And the fun part about it is as you're working your way through LMNOP, you bringing me with you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So at the time, we both get to Z at the exact same time. And now we're looking at it's like, oh my God, we did this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whether I did a chunk of it by myself or you did a chunk by yourself, at the end of the day, we all got there at the same time. So that's what makes a connection worth investing in.
Oh, love it. I love it.
Okay.
This connection gonna be nice, y'all. Okay, so on to the next one. You were talking about it, connections being one-sided. So the question I have is, how can you create a connection that is mutual, rather than one-sided?
Okay, So let's start with the most important part, the one-sidedness. Okay. Realistically, anybody who gets into a one-sided situation knows they're in a one-sided situation. I'm being honest with you. You know exactly what you're getting yourself into, and you have accepted the fact that that's exactly what you're doing. So if you're in a one-sided situation with the hope of being able to receive something or get a benefit from that one-sided connection, you got to look at yourself in regards to that. Okay. Once you accept the fact that you will no longer deal with any type of connection, a job, a relationship, a friendship, your family, that it's only a give situation,
Right.
then that is up to you to either demand that there's something that you can take from it, or else it needs to be severed, or you just have to accept the fact that it's always going to be one-sided.
Right.
And we tend to choose those opportunities a lot of times because one, it's comfortable for us to accept it. And secondly, more importantly, we hope that that individual or that job looks at you for the value that you know you are, even though that's never going to be the case. So it's more so about accepting the fact that you are in a one-sided and putting the demands to change it, or never allow it to be one-sided to begin with.
So how will we go about creating it so that it's
establish your wants and your needs right away? Okay. Establish your wants and needs right away. If I build a friendship with somebody, I need you to be a type of friend.
Right.
And I need that friendship to be something that I can benefit from. I don't want to just only hear the tea from you all the time or only show up because you need to borrow my Stars password because power started back up. No, I need it to be like, hey, bro, you got to come up off that Disney one too because I got kids, you know?
Right.
So that's just a funny joke because that's exactly how. Funny part is me and my friends all share subscriptions. So that's hilarious. I even said that to begin with. No, but I also, at the same time, we need to have a communication.
Right.
So I do have some friends where if you were on the outside looking in, you can perceive it as one-sided because the surface level shows a lot of give. But the thing about it is the intangibles is what's being received.
Right.
The motivation, the vulnerability, the safe space, the emotional availability, all of that is being received.
Right.
So the intangibles to somebody on the outside looking in make it seem like it's one-sided, but in actuality, it's both ways.
Right.
I'm getting what I need as they're getting what they need. And we've had a conversation to understand, I see what you're doing, and this partnership is phenomenal, but I can't give you the way you're giving.
Okay.
But I'm like, okay, the business is still growing.
Right.
The success is still there. You're just not showing up the way you're comfortable with showing up. So that does not mean that the connection is bad. That just means that once you are able to show up the way you're going to show up, the connection is going to be strong.
Right.
Because now you're able to see it from your perspective as the way I see it, and we're still going to be good.
Right.
So the business can always grow. We can get that money. We can get that back. Everything is going to be phenomenal when it's all said and done. You're just not able to show up the way you want to show up. Doesn't mean you're still not doing what I need from you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not really one side. It's just not the way you want it to be.
Right. Which again, if you want it to be the way if you want it the way that you want it, then you actually have to put in the work and show up.
Exactly. But sometimes life be lifing.
It definitely does.
So I'm willing to work within the realms of what you can. Take a prime example. Started a business, completely different business than this one. And I had a partner who financially could not put into the business like I could.
Okay.
I just happened to be in a good place where I can take care of the capital. But the fact that they were able to handle the inventory, they were able to handle the marketing, they were able to take the excessive loads off of me. Doing all of that was more important to me than putting the money into it, because you taking all the overhead responsibility, you're taking all the marketing responsibility, you're taking all what I can deem as tedious,
right?
And you handling that, even though to you it feels like nothing, you've done more for the business than I could ever do if I was doing it by myself. So you doing those intangible things hold weight for me.
Yes.
So being able to do those intangibles literally makes the business thrive.
Yes.
Because now I can focus on everything else. I can handle all the other things. And guess what? Because now I can go full throttle on my side of it, the money's going to come in on its own.
Right.
So now, even though you're financially not matching me 50-50, you're matching me with what's referred to as sweat equity instead.
Okay.
So now you doing all of that over there, just as equal.
Exactly.
Just as
so
equal.
It balances itself out.
It balances out. It's just they're more so upset that on the business side, they can't match me dollar for dollar.
Right.
And I had to teach them it's not about the dollars.
Yes.
Okay. If you ever dealt with anybody who's ever been a part of Habitat for Humanity,
okay,
in order for you to get that home, you got to help build that home. Okay. You cannot afford that home, which is why you're even in the program. But the way you're putting in the work to build that home, that's creating value.
Yes.
That's putting the money in. That's your financial contribution because the amount of people you have helped building that, that's less people they have to pay to come do that.
Exactly.
So you may not be putting physical money in, but the amount of money you're saving them balances out. So you good. You good, my guy. You put your 30K in.
Exactly.
You just, and more importantly, because of the work you've done, you care about that connection more.
Exactly.
So if we go back to the Habitat for Humanity situation, you helped build this house. So you know what it's going to make you do? You're going to care about the house even more. You're going to understand certain aspects of the house that you wouldn't have cared if you just bought it from somebody else.
Yep.
Because now you know that. You know what that water heater is. You know what that furnace is like. You know where that balance beam is. You know where that structure. You know this house. Yep. So you're going to take care of the house because you've already taken care of the house.
Exactly.
And that's how connections are. So if you're a person who did all the behind the scenes thing, you did all the marketing, you did all the intangibles, you covered all the overhead, you're going to care more about that business than if all you did was came in and threw money on the table.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes. So again, it's not always about the money. It's other ways. Everybody play their part.
They do.
Mean, you can't play your role or give in financially. Give your time in.
Exactly.
Learn new things and make the business thrive.
Big facts.
All righty. So wrapping it all up, you guys, a couple more questions, but we're ending this with letting go of connections. Okay. So how do you know when it is time for you to let go of a connection?
I'll use a job as an example.
Okay.
What makes you want to leave a job?
They underpay you.
Okay.
They treat you like crap. And they seem like they don't care.
You just named every single reasons why a person should sever a connection, whether it's family, friends, relationship, job. When you feel underprivileged or underappreciated,
right.
When you feel like you're being used, when you find yourself literally resenting having that level of communication with that person, that's when you know this is not a healthy connection. You don't have to deal with it anymore. Now, we as human beings, we tend to have this internal conflict of happy versus history.
Right.
Okay. So a lot of times we'll stay connected to something that we're not happy with. We're not feeling fulfilled. We're not feeling satisfied, but we're still here dealing with it.
Right.
Because we have this history.
Exactly.
And you should have left a long time ago. I have had jobs in my past where I was there 5-6 years.
Yes.
And when I finally tell my supervisor or my boss, all right, I'm thinking about to put my 2 weeks notice in, and they sit here and tell you, nigga, you supposed to quit 2 years ago. That lets you know. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can use that kind of language on your show. I apologize.
You good, look.
Right, I apologize.
It's all real.
Should have checked first. But no, and this is actually this is actually really did happen to me.
Okay.
It was a point in my career, in my business, where this was growing, but the demand of my job was taking up too much time where I hit a ceiling.
Right.
And so I'm overworked, I'm overwhelmed. And it's not that I didn't like the job. I love my job. I love my job. I love my team. I loved everything about it. But my supervisor, who was damn near like my buddy, knew, like, you just going through the motions at this point in time. You just here because you using this money to fund that business. And she even said, when I finally put my 2 weeks in, and I put it in because believe it or not, I was going back to school.
Okay.
And the position I was in, I couldn't stay in that role and still go to school because I had a very strict schedule, demanding schedule. So I had to switch to another department.
Okay.
When I switched to the other department, I said, I'll gladly come back over here to this department, but I need these requirements. They was like, yeah, we're not going to give you those. You're gonna start here. You've been in this department too long. I don't think you can do this anymore. We're going to start you at square one. I spent 2 weeks at square one. And I sat here to myself, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. I hit my old supervisor up and said, I'm about to put my 2 weeks in. And she told me before I even put it in, you were supposed to quit 2 years ago. You were supposed to quit 2 years ago. And she said, and I'll take fault in that because I put you with me. And I knew when you were with me, you were going to stay comfortable. Because history over happiness.
Yes.
And that's really what it boiled down to. So when I realized the history was no longer a factor, because I didn't know the team, I didn't know the people over there, I didn't care. It was now just happiness. It was like,
Let it go.
I'm out. I'm out. I'm out.
Let it go.
I'm out. And it's crazy because I kind of do miss the job, but I won't go back.
Aww.
I won't go back.
Not even part-time?
I won't go back because it's not the same.
Okay.
And that's, I don't know if this is one of your questions, but this is going to be a sliding question. It's going to be a sliding answer for an unrealistic question. Going back to a previous connection that you severed is never going to be the same type of connection.
It was definitely it was a question.
I know it was in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll into that for you. It's not going to be the same. So whether you go back to an old job, whether you go back to an old relationship, whether you go to an old friendship, it's not going to be the same because that history and that reason why the connection was broken is going to play a factor.
Right.
I'm a Sagittarius. Okay. So one of the things about us is we put a pin in anything we do.
Okay.
And we can go off and we can be gone for long periods of time. And when we come back, we'll pick up with whatever we're dealing with or whatever connection we have as if none of that time has ever passed. But the thing about it is where we were at when that pin was put will make a difference of how we come back to that.
Okay.
So if I put a pin in our friendship because you were overstepping some boundaries in that moment,
okay,
I'm still going to look at you as a boundary stepper. Okay. So unless we have that conversation and you rebuild that trust that you understand why I stepped away to begin with, you're still going to be a boundary stepper. We're still going to be friends and we're going to be great, but you're not going to be allowed in those spaces and places.
Right.
Same thing with a job. I give you an example. When I was 15 years old, I worked at Chuck E. Cheese. Okay. It was my summer job. Okay. And when school started back up and my mom realized that sports and my grades and everything was being affected, she told me I had to quit the job. All right. Summertime came back around the following year. I happened to be taking my brother up there because he wanted to play and talk to the boss. It's like, hey, can I have my job back? She was like, sure. Came back to the job. Job didn't feel the same. It didn't feel the same. Even though I was damn near in the same role I was with, and a lot of people I was working with was the same people I was with, the job didn't feel the same. The needs didn't feel the same. The demand didn't feel the same. The movements didn't feel the same. Nothing about it felt the same because I was there the first time because it was fun.
Right.
I was there the second time because I didn't want to be broke. So it didn't feel the same. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not fun anymore. It's I'm here. I don't need the money. I just didn't want to be broke.
Right.
So when it realized, I got something else I can do where this same paycheck can be gotten by doing something different, I quit. Your job didn't feel the same. It didn't. It just didn't feel the same.
I mean, it's always good to learn them new talents, though.
Right.
You know, just like people. They're here for a season, just to teach us something.
Reasons and seasons. Reasons and seasons.
So, yep, you definitely tapped into it. Another question was, what are some healthy ways to end a connection?
Okay.
So you kind of pushed into that with the job.
No, it works.
Let's go
it works.
A little bit personal into like family and friends.
Right. Communication is always important.
Okay.
I say that 97% of relationships that have those double digits behind them
Mm-hmm.
is usually because of healthy connections. It's not because gender roles. It's not because sex. It's literally communication.
Right.
Okay. And even when ending situations, communication is still good to sever the connections for everybody to still learn and grow. Um, if me and so since I've been doing this business, right?
Okay.
I've had multiple different. I have plenty shows that have came and gone. Some of them because life was life, and other ones because we just didn't have a good experience. But what I would always do is I would have a communication with anybody that has a show.
Okay.
So if it's not working out, we collectively can talk about what didn't work, where the problem lies, where things are, because sometimes we don't understand we have a problem until we're told we have a problem.
Exactly.
You know, I am a talker. Okay, that's you can see I'm a talker, right? So sometimes I can tell a lot about my life without telling anything about my life, and some people might not be okay with that. So I'm building a show, and we talking, and the next thing you know, here we are 2 hours later, and we said a lot, but we also said a bunch of nothing too. So that can make that person not ever want to do the interview with me again.
Exactly.
But if you sit here and tell me, it's like, yo, man, that was a great conversation, but you know, you tend to have a habit of running on and doing this and doing that, and it's like, okay, I get it. If I'm never on your show again, I still walked away with learning. I need to work on getting to the point sometimes, you know, and whatnot. But it's not a bad thing. I always, even with relationships, like I tell people, the number one thing I hate that this new generation does is they ghost.
Okay? Yeah.
I
done did that a couple times.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
So I was talking to my sister the other day, and she knows I hate ghosting. So she was like, Tony, it's only family can call me Tony. She was like, Tony, I don't want to talk to this dude no more, and I just want to block him and just keep my peace. I was like, Don't do that. If anything, at least cultivate a message. If you don't feel like talking to him to say it, but create a message, letting that person know that these boundaries have been overstepped. These things that you're doing that you have asked to stop doing, you keep doing, and it's making you feel uncomfortable. Let this person know that the things that you're doing is ruining this connection.
Right.
Okay. You're wearing these wires down that the string is not going to hold anymore. So at this point in time, to save me money from buying a whole new cord, I'm going to go ahead and sever this connection now and put some tape on this friendship because I got to walk away from it.
Yes.
And then after you sent this to them, if you still feel like you need to block, then block. But at least let that person know this is why we have to sever this connection, in so many words.
Right.
And a lot of people don't do that. They just leave people in limbo. And now this person is wondering where things went wrong. And I guarantee you about 100 times out of 100 times, they're going to assume completely different than what it really is.
Definitely.
You know, so allow that person to understand why you're walking away from it. Let them be in their feelings. Like people have the right to be angry or be mad and be upset, but let them have their moments, but at least let them honestly know why. And if you just leave it all open and willy-nilly and just ghost them, now you're creating a whole monster that you don't ever want to deal with.
Yeah, because now, and then it's going to come back around on you. So you ghost somebody and somebody going to ghost you.
Exactly.
When it at the exact time when you think things are good.
Exactly. So that's why you should always just communicate.
Okay. So after you end that connection, right? And it's healthy for you. Sometimes it may not be for the other person, depending on how life is life and for them. But after you have you went through and you ended that connection, now it's time for you to rebuild yourself. How do you actually let go of the feelings, the emotions that you are actually having? Like you said, some people may be sad, they get in their feelings, but how is it that you can actually go through for your own self?
All right. So,
especially if it was the connection that was important to you, like a family member.
Okay. You will hit me with the hard one last. No, and the reason why it's a hard one is not because of anything like, ooh, let me think of somebody who. No, it's just in general. It's that processing period.
It is.
Every single thing that ends has a grieving period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not grieving is just not death.
Exactly.
Okay, grieving is everything. Grieving is walking away, ending. Even if you're the one who had to make the step away, you're still gonna have a grieving period.
Yes.
Because if it's a job, if it's a relationship, if it's a friendship, if it's a family member, there are spaces that they were occupying for you, and you got to find a way to fill those voids.
Yep.
Okay. And you have to deal with things that remind you of them. You have to deal with things that you guys might have done together. You have to deal with places that you might have gone. You have to, in so many words, you got to change your whole life because you changed your life by removing these connections out of it.
Right.
Okay. You got to find new things to create your happiness. Okay. Everybody says you got to find happiness within yourself. You got people who will say you need to pray. You got some folks who go to the gym. You got folks that'll do yoga. You got people that sleep.
Right.
Most like at the end of the day, there's no right way or wrong way to heal from whatever you're grieving over. It's more so you just got to figure out a way to fill those voids. Like me, for an example, if it's a relationship that's ended, it's going to take a little bit longer because I'm an all-in kind of a guy. Okay. So if I'm all in and now you've taken and we've walked away from this all in, I got to adjust to a lot of things that I was accustomed to with you.
Right.
My eating habits, my shopping habits, my health habits.
That time.
Sex. Let's keep it a buck. A lot of stuff we gotta readjust to that. We gotta get used to that. So you gotta find different ways to fill those voids. So whether it is going out, whether it is hanging out with your friends even more, whether it is sleeping and binge watching 27 shows on Netflix, whatever you gotta find to do to get or diving into your work or diving into your business. I know for a fact that there has been multiple times where I had to end friendships, end relationships, not talk to certain family members for a while. And doing that, I dove more into my business. I was more into my business, but I also found myself talking more and being out more and going more places and walking accidentally into unhealthy situations because I wasn't 100% over the ending of whatever that connection was. When I quit my job to go all in my business, my goal is to go all in my business. But then I also found myself having to give up things that I would use my extra money on.
Right.
Okay. So now my extra money and my extra free time and my extra expenses, those had to go away for a while. That's a change that I wasn't ready for.
Right.
So finding myself having to sit home while everybody's having a great time on Facebook, it was the sacrifices of the choices I made.
Right.
Just like if you end a relationship and you go to this particular bar all the time, you got to remind yourself, look, I can be that person who still follows my ex and see everything that they do. Or I can be the person that could completely wipe this individual and may see them if they only pop up in other things. You know what I'm saying? Do I stop hanging out with friends we have in common? Am I comfortable with even being around this person, even though we don't go together anymore? These are things that you got to work out and grieve through whenever you end those type of connections. And it's not easy for everybody. Not everything is easy to get over.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, it's that time. It's a process.
It is.
A lot of the process is not the same.
All American facts. You know.
All right, Tone. I really appreciate you coming on. It was such a pleasure.
This was fun.
I love the whole little setup. It's beautiful.
I'm gonna let you know this right now. The one thing about TDR Studio, it changes all the time. So you just got to get comfortable. You might walk in here one day and you see a round table. You may come back, it's a square table. You may see bookshelves. You may see couches. It changes. So
look, change is good.
Change is good.
It helps me keep myself changing.
All right,
growing in the same sense.
It's you'll love it here. You know, you'll love it here. That's the one thing about it. And the fact that it's a 50-50. So you're still doing your own thing. So it's not a 100% TDR production, but you're a hybrid. You're work from home.
Right.
This is a work from home job. You got to come in the office sometimes, but it's still a work from home job.
All right, you all. Again, this is TDR Studio. We are actually toned or has tuned in with Tone, y'all. He just gave us a little brief of connections when it comes to creating, building, and just allowing yourself to let those connections go. Um, would you like to tell people how they can actually find you? Maybe get in contact with you to do business with you on another level,
You
or
know, the funny part is I am everywhere, even though I'm never there. But no, you can always find me on all of the things at Tonedef, Tonedef. Whether it's Mr. Tonedef, it's my personal page, or whether it's TDR Network. Just type in Tone Deaf, and I guarantee you'll find me in one shape or form. On YouTube, we're TDR live stream because I have so many shows that I cannot just have only one page. And you can find all the shows that are here on TDR Network, past, present, and future, because there's always something new coming out of here with us. You definitely want to make sure you follow the panel, which is the panel MKE. I gotta do this. You want to follow the panel MKE because we're doing a lot of things. We are everywhere. For an example, because I don't know how soon you plan on dropping this episode, but as of August 24th, I am hosting a poetry set called Words Have Meaning, where I'm highlighting some of my favorite poets. I wasn't able to get all of them because they life be lifing and they busy, but I'm able to highlight some of my favorite poets and just show appreciation to them and the fact that their words have meaning to multiple different people. So be on the lookout for a lot of different mini interviews in regards to that one. Then the actual event itself is at Wallflower. Okay. MKE down on 38th and Burleigh, August 24th from
That's my old hood.
7 p.m. to 11 p.m. Shit, it's still my hood. Ain't no such thing as an old hood to me. If you from Milwaukee, you from Milwaukee. Oh, speaking of that, also make sure you check out my podcast. I got two of them. I got one I do with my brother called The Deaf Fresh Show. We've been doing that for about 13 years. It's a podcast where we take nothing serious. That's literally the moniker of it.
I need to be on that one then, because I laugh a whole lot.
Hey, you'll come through. Oh, you'll definitely have a great time with us there. And then I have my personal business one. It was ranked by BuzzFeed, the #1 business entrepreneur podcast in the city of Milwaukee in 2023, where it's called Where I Come From, MKE, where the only requirement is to be where I come from. No, seriously, and I love that concept. Yes. We talk about a little bit of everything. I recently just dropped the audio only version of what's called The Fear of Flying on my podcast. It's basically where I talk about that 1.5 year journey of straight entrepreneurship and all the highs and lows of not only just starting a business, but trying to maintain the business in today's economy. So it was a battle tested series, but it was worth it, and I would do it all over again if I had the opportunity to. So check that out.
Lovely, y'all. Once again, y'all, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and then come back and check me out. I will be tuning in next Friday with another special guest. So just follow me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all social media platforms. Until next time, I love you all. Thank you.